guide dyan, we are guided by the crisis management manual. At we take the policies and procedures that are there. Immediately upon the knowledge of an event, the territorial commander, ibig sabihin yung merong jurisdiction doon sa pinangyarihan, should create a crisis management committee to be headed by the local chief executives, and then he himself becomes a member of the crisis management committee and assumes as ground commander. Now we call that ground commander the crisis incident management task group commander. So he will be in charge of all police units and all attached units that will undertake the necessary preparations for the early resolution of iba't ibang parameters dyan, but one of the policies is to keep the crisis management level at the lowest possible level. That's one policy para hindi one is to put the concentration of efforts in smaller locality, unless they request later on that it be elevated to a higher level. Now also this is in line with the experiences in the past that whenever a higher level committee is in charge of a supposed to be lower level, the demands of the hostages goes also with the level of threat that or level of the crisis management committee that we create. Lumalaki yung demand nila if they are given more attention and more level of authority from the higher level crisis management committee. In treating and studying and assessing the character of hostage takers and criminals in general, we have to look at the background, we have to look at his involvement, we have to look at even the family ties, even his social standing in his community. All of this should be known and should be analyzed in terms of what is happening or how he is acting at that certain situation. Now, in this particular incident, especially for Filipinos, we are affected very much by our family relations. That's why we have called in the members of the family to help us out in the negotiations. Incidentally, one of the sons of the hostage taker was also a police officer, so I have to order and fetch the son who is assigned and was there in Abra during the time. I have to request an Air Force chopper from the north to fetch him, but they were able to move from Isabela, the chopper, to La Union, but due to inclement weather, they were not able to proceed to Abra. So I directed the regional director of Cordillera to just ferry him through land transport. Yung kapatid naman, he suddenly appeared there, and without coordinating first, he tried to breach the cordon, and then he was subdued, and then he agreed to join the negotiation. However, during the actual negotiation, person-to-person negotiation around the bus, he showed different motivation. He even agitated his brother, saying, "Huwag kang pumayag, Brad, kung hindi sinusoli sa akin yung baril ko." So he is supposed to be a police officer, and our negotiator expected him to cooperate with us in resolving the crisis peacefully, but he showed different emotions. So this is contributory to what happened during the critical moments, as I've said. I have been in several situations before: hostage taking, kidnap for ransom negotiations, actual assaults, different controversies, different issues. Our main concern during these crisis situations is the ground commander should not get confused. That's why we limit and we in place immediately the specific organizations that are mandated by our regulations. In this case, the Crisis Management Com is the one in charge of the overall situation, and the ground commander is the one in charge for possible intervention. So we leave the judgment on these in-place organizations or committees that are supposed to be in charge of these situations. We have seen some incidents before that it went over because of a lot of persons that intervenes. These are the outside influences that sometimes disrupts the progressive resolution of the incident. We do not want to confuse our men on the ground during these times. What is in place should be the ones in charge. Now, unless they request for an elevation of the Crisis Management Committee, and unless we believe, and we believe also that the capacities and the organizations that are in charge is sufficient, we do not intervene. We avoid that. I can feel what is being felt by the assault elements, because I myself was a member of a SWAT team before when I was a lieutenant. I was the deputy group commander of the Light Reaction Unit of MetroCom. During that time, there is only one SWAT unit for the whole of Metro Manila. And I have been a participant of several hostage crisis situations. We have conducted also intervention operations. And there are a lot of variables that are considered and happening when an assault is conducted. It's somewhat very different from a rehearsal, a practice scenario when you start an actual assault, especially when there is enemy fire that is being launched against the intervention operations. So there are a lot of variables. Not only are the actual movements of the enemy, but also what is happening on the immediate perimeter, like for example the possible people that might get hurt, the properties that might get destroyed. These are the things that you see. These are the things that you feel. These are the things that needs the judgment calls during assault operations. And in actual assault operations, we don't want to be bothered by different commands from higher up. So before launching assault, we practice, we rehearse, and then expect the best that will happen. One thing that I saw aggravated the situation because exactly what is happening outside was known and viewed by the hostage taker. In the present investigations that are being conducted, we see that this is the critical point, critical time when there was a change of character on the hostage taker. Suddenly, he threatened of firing at the hostages. It happened. Sometimes it happens, but lives were lost. So whatever lapses, the police officers that are involved should take whatever lapses are seen, and then this is our job. Sometimes we commit mistakes, but I can assure you that none of the police officers, especially the intervention team, did not intentionally wanted to hurt any of the hostages. I wish that the Philippine National Police will continue on with serving our people in our country. I think we have proven ourselves, we have proven that the organization is capable of performing its task, especially in relation to issues that concerns the overall governance of the country. We showed this when we did a lot of activities, a lot of programs to ensure a clean and honest elections. We have done our part, I think. We have cooperated and we work together with the Commission on Elections, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, for this very important event of the year, the conduct of the elections. But overall, I think our organization has matured. It is now wary of the important and major activities that it should undertake. And these are the counterinsurgency operations, anti-criminality, law enforcement, anti-terrorism functions. These are the functions that we concentrate on. And most of our resources are channeled towards these major activities.